I'm going to do is take 5, maybe 10 minutes to step you through what a wastewater treatment plant is. So if you're up walking the trail down by Route 8, you look down the hill and there's the treatment plant. There, you saw a picture of it at the beginning. It doesn't quite look the same shape as this, but all the pieces are the same. Okay? So what you have, the first yellow box, and we're gonna step through these things with colors. The first yellow box you see is basically, it's another pump station. It's the treatment plant's pump station. All the flow comes to that pump station. It's called the preliminary treatment facility. All the flow comes to that. Every rock, every stick, every piece of solid material, and every piece of liquid material that comes to the plant goes into that facility where it has to be pumped up high enough that it can flow through and trickle through the rest of the treatment plant before it can be released out to the river. Okay? So the issues there, that you have lift pumps, okay, that raise the level of the wastewater to get it into the treatment tanks. All the grit and large debris that gets brought down through the collection system ends up here too. So there are grit removal facilities. Basically what that is it's a tank with air blown into it. And when sand and grit and rocks come into that, because of the air volume in there, that stuff settles out, and there are collectors at the bottom that pull that grit and collect that grit, take it out of the system and put it into a dumpster so that it can be taken somewhere else. Captures sand and rocks. There are screens in there, okay? Bar screens basically looks like a bunch of bars shaped like this, and as the flow comes through, you know, debris gets caught on it so that the guys can rake that debris off, put it into a bucket and get it out. So we definitely need improvements at this facility within the treatment plant, okay? The next set of tanks that you will see at the treatment plant are called the primary clarifiers, okay? Now once you've removed the rocks and debris and all that stuff out, and once the pumps pump it up into this first set of tanks, these tanks are just meant to settle stuff out, okay? To settle out debris, to settle out some of the paper, the solids, things like that, okay? So it's a clarifier. It just sits and lets things settle. There are rakes that move very, very slowly, and if you stand and watch, you can see these things happening, and they're just pushing the debris out to a place that it can be collected and skimming very slowly across the top. Anything that's floating on the surface gets pushed off to the side. Those tanks are in good condition. They're going to last us, you know, through the planning period without too much work. So they're acceptable at this point. We're going to leave them be. The next thing you'll see out there when you're standing up on the trail looking down is you're going to see some tanks that are long and rectangular, and they look like brown foam. They look like chocolate milk. Okay? It's not, the brown is not what you think it is. Okay? So what it is in these tanks, okay? What you do in the treatment process, this is it's a biological treatment process. What you see in the tanks and what you see bubbling and foaming in there is air that's being blown in to keep a colony of microbes alive. And that's the color that you see. And these microbes are in there actually, this is their food. The waste that we put out, that's their food. They love it, they're happy. You give them air, you give them nice warm temperatures, they're in there eating like crazy, having a good old day, and they're happy as clams or happy as bugs should be. Okay, so that's the aeration tank system that you see. And at the Derby treatment plant, the aeration system is in pretty good shape. Okay, part of those things that were upgraded, 10 years ago. The next thing you'll see out there is the big circular tanks that look like swimming pools. Okay, and you'll see these slow rake arms that are slowly just moving around. What these are used for, okay, all those bugs that are in there growing and eating and being happy in the aeration tanks, well, it's just like a happy family. If you keep feeding them, they grow bigger and bigger, and you grow more kids, and well, all of a sudden you got to get them out of the house. So what happens in these tanks is all the bugs go out of these tanks, out of the aeration tanks into the clarifiers. All those bugs go down to the bottom. They settle out just like the tanks at the beginning. Nice quiet conditions, things settle out. Most of those bugs get pumped right back into the beginning of those aeration tanks, but you have to maintain a certain number of bugs in the system, so part of those bugs get wasted out. Okay? That's how you keep the level of organisms where you need them to be. You have to collect them, take some off the top, put the rest of them back. So that's where we settle the biomass, and then that biomass, the bugs that come out of that, have to be dewatered because they're 98%, more than 99% water. You have to get that water out before you can send those excess bugs off site. The excess bugs are called sludge, okay? It's a technical term, big high degree engineering term, sludge. But what you do is you send them off site. You get those disposed of either at an incinerator facility or a landfill. Mostly everything in the state is going out to an incinerator, but you can't burn water. Okay, so what you do is you process those excess bugs, the excess biosolids, the sludge, through a series of machines. You pump it, you put it onto what is called a dewatering press. And this big old machine, it's a pretty big and impressive looking machine, takes the water, puts it between a couple of plates of mesh, and then puts it through a bunch of rollers, basically just squeezes the water. It's just like taking a towel and wringing out the water. What comes out the other end of that is something that looks like wet soil, okay? And that wet soil gets sent out somewhere to get burned off at an incinerator. And what they've resulted is nice clear effluent, clean effluent that's going out to the river,